All right. Give me one moment. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, May 5th meeting of the Steamship Authority Port Council meeting. I'm Gordon Carr. I am this year's chair of the Port Council. I will read a couple of the announcements and then we will get started. I'd like to inform everyone that Sean Driscoll, the authority's communication director, is making an audio recording and video recording of today's meeting. Is there anyone else making an audio recording of today's meeting? If so, please identify yourself. If you're joining virtually, please press the raise your hand icon in the Zoom dashboard, or if you're joining by telephone, pressing star 9 on your keypad. And when you are recognized, please state your name for the record.
Louisa.
Your humble servant, Louisa Hofstadter, the Vineyard Gazette.
Thank you. And that's all I see for right now.
All right. Statement number 2 concerning remote participation. Pursuant to Section 20 of Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021 as amended, Port Council members are participating remotely in today's meeting because their physical attendance today would be unreasonably difficult. All Port Council members in attendance and all members participating in the meeting by the Zoom video conferencing app will be clearly audible to each other. As a result of members' remote participation in this meeting, any and all votes taken by the members shall be made by roll call vote. And the first of such roll call votes is the attendance. With that, John Cahill?
Cahill here.
Nat Lowell?
Here.
Greg Egan?
Here.
Rob Minier?
Vineyard is here.
And Joe Solito?
Yeah.
Excellent. And we have from the Steamship Authority team on the panel right now, we have Alex Kryska, Terrence Keneally, Mark Rozum, Mark Amundsen, and I think that's it for now.
I'm here. I just have my
and Sean. Right, sorry.
Video off.
And Sean Driscoll. So others will join us as we go along. First item is the approval of the April 7th Port Council meeting minutes. Any questions or comments from members of the council on the minutes? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the April 7th minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All right, and all in favor, John Cahill,
Cahill, aye.
Greg Egan,
Aye.
Nat Lowell,
Aye.
Rob Minier?
I was absent, so I will
Oh.
abstain.
You can abstain, fair enough. And Joe?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you. Turning it over to Mark for the treasurer's report.
Morning, everyone. So for the business summary, I put one of the slides out of order than normal. If the Port Council can indulge me, so I think it's important to talk about the trip summary report before we go into the traffic statistics and the revenue. So for year to date, we have, for the month of March, we had 0 trips canceled for mechanical, 56 for weather, 71 for traffic. Year to date, we have 12 trips canceled for mechanical, 202 for weather, and 239 for traffic. We're about 70 trips higher than last year through March for weather cancellations. Of that, 64 are on the Vineyard side and only 6 are on the Nantucket side. So looking at that, we're seeing the bigger impact on the upcoming slides in the traffic numbers and on the revenue on the Vineyard side because of the disproportionate effects of the weather cancellations having on that route compared to the Nantucket route year to year. Okay, so as we go into looking at the slides here for the Vineyard route for the month of March, we're down just over 10,500 passengers. Year to date, we're down 32,500 passengers on the Vineyard route, down 2,200 total passengers on the Nantucket route. But if you look at the fast ferry number for the Nantucket route being down 2,000 passengers, that's attributable because the fast ferry started 4 days earlier last year than this year. So when you look at the average passengers per trip, they're within a few percentage points. It's 494 this year compared to 510. So those numbers in April we'll see will balance out, but it's really a timing issue on the Nantucket run from when the schedule went as compared to a raw number on the Vineyard run with the impacts of the trip cancellations. On the next slide here for the vehicles, for the month of March, the Vineyard was down for passenger vehicles, 2,177 vehicles at 6.8%. Year to date, we're down 6.7%. Compared to the Nantucket round, down being only down 1.9% for the month of March, and relatively flat for the year of up 0.6% at 85 vehicles. Year to date, we're down combined for both routes 5.6% or 5,500 vehicles. Freight trucks for both routes combined, we're down 2.4% for the month of March, or 187 vehicles. Year to date, we're down 6.2% or 1,252 freight vehicles, and this is for both routes combined. And here again, you can see the different percentages on the two routes. I looked at, as of yesterday, how our future bookings are looking for this year compared to last year. On the Vineyard route, we're up about 1.8% as far as bookings go. As far as reservations and space occupied on the vessels, the Nantucket route from May 15th to October is down 0.3% vehicles, but deck space is up 1.6%. So we're trending, forecasting on what we were budgeting for the summer. So this is further putting credence to the fact of the impact that the weather had for February, March on our ridership numbers. Cars parked year to date, we're down 4,042 cars, or 23.8%. Both routes are down pretty close on percentage-wise, and these are small numbers in the overall percentage raw volume on our parking numbers for the whole year. So I expect we'll be able to, depending on having a nice summer, capturing some of these numbers back. Financial snapshot for the month of March. We had just over $7 million in revenue, which was off budget by about $465,000. Other income of $499,000, which was below budget by almost $1.5 million. And that's the timing of the grant revenue. We've been talking about how the expenses are under and some of the maintenance projects haven't been done yet. We can't recognize the grant revenue until we recognize the offsetting grant expenses. So that's the timing issue there. Operating expenses of $13.3 million were above budget by just under $105,000. Putting this all together, we had a net operating loss of $5,977,000 for the month of March, which was above budget by $2 million. But year to date, we have an operating loss of $16,184,000, which is better than budget by $656,000. Looking at the revenue slide, you can see almost every category is down, which is expected with the traffic numbers we've seen for the month of March. But putting this together, revenue is down $465,000 to 6.2%. Year to date, we're down 4.7% on the revenue side. On the operating expenses, we can see the maintenance expense was up $957,000 to 25.3%. But you got to look to the right and see overall we're down compared to budget by $1.6 million or 14%. And this year we're seeing some of the expenses this month, the expenses we expected to incur in February and January come to fruition in March. And we'll see the same trend come in April as well. But putting this together, we're above budget for the month of $105,000. Something on everyone's mind is fuel expense. We were actually down $51,000 for the month due to trip cancellations for using less fuel, but also the exercising of our hedges. Our average fuel cost per gallon came in at $2.77 compared to budget of $2.82. And I can say in March, we ended up getting back about $500,000 in the hedges to offset the increased cost on deliveries. Just give an update that we do for the board for the cash status, looking at where our funds compared to what we originally forecasted in the budget. And then for March, here are the passengers. In there, we can see the Nantucket, the fast ferry for the month of April is caught up, and year to date, we're up 25 passengers on the fast ferry year to date. So overall, our passengers for the month of first 3 weeks of April are down just under 2,400 passengers, or 1.8%. Year to date, we're down 7%. And again, looking at the vehicles, the Vineyard route was down 2%, or 558 vehicles combined, while the Nantucket route was up 7.8%, or 527 vehicles. Overall, for the first 3 weeks of April, we're relatively flat or down just 31 vehicles. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding the business summary.
Thanks, Mark. Questions from the council? I thought I saw a hand flash up. Yep, Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, the question I have is on those cancellations to the Vineyard. Why were there so many when we're closer to the mainland than Nantucket? They had so few.
Yeah, we have like all-day events, Joe, where normally because of the length of the route, the Nantucket run has more like one-off cancellations. And this year we've had sizable events where we've lost days at a time. Where you lose one day, that's at this time of year 42 trips.
Okay, all right.
Each direction. These are directional cancellations, Mark.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
You have to explain that because I still don't remember that all these years.
These are
I
one
think
way.
I think of a boat canceling as one trip because if it ain't coming over, it ain't going back.
And we also have to factor in these large events that we had this year.
Yeah.
It's not only the impact of the storm itself, it's leading up to the storm, people not going to make sure they need to be. And it's also like the one in February that spilled into March. A lot of places were closed down, no power or whatever for a week. So even though we were running, people couldn't get here or didn't have their deliveries or whatever it may be, or couldn't go where they needed to go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Munir?
Yeah, I was just curious about the obviously weather seems like it was the primary reason, but then there was a fair amount for traffic. And does the traffic suggest there was less demand?
Yeah, so and I can get the weekly breakdown, but when I just mentioned about the first week of March where we could run trips, but we literally people couldn't get to us on the first week of March. We were running 1 out of 3 boats, for example.
So it was still weather related, but it was the demand was because the weather was causing people not to want to get there.
Indirectly, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Other questions from Mark? Getting off easy today.
Okay. Well, hopefully I can give you the information so
Fair enough.
to beat the questions.
Excellent.
Next on the agenda is the budget policy and calendar for the year. So going over real quickly the budget calendar. We're going to look for approval from the Port Council and the board at the May meetings. Internally, what we do is present the work with the staff over the payroll sheets and the staffing levels. Then next, we turn that over in June to them for the actual operating expenses and maintenance expenses. We receive all that information back from them in July. The accounting team then puts it all together, and we're putting together ongoing as we're waiting for things to be returned. By August 20th, we expect to have a draft budget together. We'll be working with our department heads, refining the budget, making sure we're not missing anything, getting this information. Then in between August 20th and the Port Council meeting, we'll be meeting as we do every year with the members of the Port Council and board, going over the budget in detail, getting feedback for that before we present it at the September Port Council and board meeting, the preliminary version. Well, as the previous 5 years or so, we'll be having budget open houses, getting feedback from the communities on the budget, making the refinements, and then come to the board and Port Council in October for approval for the budget. So that's what our calendar for the budget process looks like. High level, everyone has the budget policy in the package, so I won't go over it line by line. But highlights of the policy is revenues. We'll do what we've historically done, look at the previous 12 months of actual traffic and make any adjustments that we feel necessary for outside forces. So for instance, during COVID, we adjusted our traffics to what a projection we thought they would be. Operating expenses will be pinned directly towards the approved operating budget. That's the big driver, such as fuel, staffing, whatever it may be. And today, later on, we'll be looking at the preliminary operating budget for 2027. Maintenance repair, a big driver there is the what landside projects we have. We have phase 2 of the Vineyard Haven project next year, as well as the dry dock of the vessels. Employment levels, we expect those to be consistent with they are now. A couple of things we are looking at is whether it makes sense to internally put in trainer and project management positions compared to using third parties. Training, we'll be continuing doing our training and development fairs as we have, as long as STCW, bridge resource management, oil spill response, computer skill trainings, as well as making sure that everyone is ready when we roll out the res system in 26 and in 27. Everyone's trained on that. Looking at the impacts of the reservation system on the budget, not only from a hosting fee, service fee, training fee, but also what efficiencies we're going to gain to offset some of this budget. As well as when we're talking with the vessels and the schedule, what we're starting, as Nat says, we've had a reset year last year, getting the impacts of the vessels, and during the operating schedules, we'll be seeing some of those benefits of the newer boats and how we can reduce some costs on that as well and gain some efficiencies. One of the harder items right now will be the fuel oil. It's been all over the place. Right now, we've hedged for the majority of 2026, and we're seeing the benefits of that. But we are not hedged for 2027. We have open orders that weren't filled. And right now, the pricing is very expensive, both from the execution price and the option side. So we're waiting for a little more stability, but at some point we'll have to execute because the prices can always go higher. And then from a cash standpoint, making sure we have enough money to on a cash flow basis to fund our debt service that are due in March and September, as well as capital projects coming forward. And so that's what the budget policy is. And as a last resort, looking at adjustments to fares. So with that, I'd be happy to answer anyone's questions, take suggestions or improvements as far as the calendar and the budget policy.
Questions for Mark?
No, pretty thorough.
Very thorough. Very clear. The schedule's clear.
Yeah.
The fuel, the 2027 fuel comment is a little ominous, right? So that's a little bit of a game of chicken, particularly when things change on a daily basis, it seems, right? How far are you willing to wait, Mark, before you need to?
That's something where I don't do it for a living, and
you've got people for that, right?
Yeah, we talk about that. Is that if the purchasing of the option was more affordable, because the closer you get, the less risk as far as time value goes. But this is a black swan event, which kind of throws that out. So we're both looking at price for the strike price, also how much you're going to pay for that option.
Yeah,
a lot of people have a hard time willing to write that contract because there's so many variables.
Yeah. Nobody wants to get caught.
Yeah, so we're weighing that out. So fortunately, right now, where we're seeing other ferry operators having these fuel surcharges, with our hedges that we have, it's basically insurance on a very high level. We're able to offset a lot of these costs so far this year.
Great. Okay. Well, consistently the budget process is quite clean, but this is helpful to get a frame of reference at the start. Any other last questions for Mark on the budget policy? Rob.
Yeah, you made a comment about some sort of make or buy decisions. I think training was one, project management was another. I mean, I know those aren't big dollars, but I'm curious about your process for doing that and whether or not you would then share the results as a part of this review.
Oh, 100%. So when these positions would need to go to the board for approval, because I'm assuming they're going to exceed the threshold that require board approval to create them. And when we do it, kind of like with the vessels, we'll do a cost analysis and the benefits and what projects we have coming up, and where these people would be used.
Just curious, and this maybe just shows my ignorance. I mean, do you have on staff project managers now, and that you would be building that, or is this one where you're sort of buying them in for individual projects?
We're gonna so we had people previously, if you remember, Bill Cloutier, who did some presentations. So he was overseeing the construction side. Bill retired, and then his replacement's no longer here, so we subbed out some of that work. But evaluating, looking at part of the 5-year plan, looking at what projects we come and what skill sets we're going to need to match up, and is it more driven to the IT? Is it more driven to the construction? Evaluating it all.
Yeah. Okay. I guess just offhand, it makes to me there's some value in having some in-house skill in that area that you might bolster when you have a surge of extra projects. But that's a really valuable skill set, and a good project manager can do a construction project, one year, and another type of project another year. So
100%.
I'd argue for thinking seriously about that. Thank you.
Okay.
So I'm looking for an approval from the Port Council to recommend the calendar and the budget policy.
I will entertain a motion to recommend to the board approval of the 2027 budget policy statement as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Joe.
I'll second.
Thank you, John. All in favor, John Cahill.
Cahill, aye.
Greg Egan.
Aye.
Matt Lowell.
Aye.
Robin Muir.
Aye.
And Joe Salito.
Aye.
Oh, and I'm an aye too. I may have forgotten that in the last. I'll participate too. All right.
Thank you.
That's it for you, Mark. Alex, with indulgence, if you don't mind, I'd like to take one of the new business items out of order. Sean, if you can invite Board Chair Peter Jeffrey in to join us on the panel, that would be a big help. Peter's on a tight time frame. The new business item that we're going to bring in is on the board goals and actions for 2026 that Peter has been speaking both with us and with the board about, in the establishment of 2 new committees, which will involve, I think, all of you. So with that, welcome, Peter. Thank you. I'll turn it over to you to do a little table setting.
All right. Well, thank you for taking me out of order. I appreciate that. So the board has adopted an action plan for this year, and part of that action plan was continuing the IT Executive Steering Committee, as well as creating 2 new committees, a Capital Planning Steering and Oversight Committee and a Governance Committee. Our thought is that those committees would be composed of 2 board members and 3 Port Council members, just the way the IT Executive Steering Committee is now. Have a kind of firm charter that's laid out in our action plan. And what I'm coming forward to today is to ask the Port Council to appoint its 3 members to the Capital Planning Steering and Oversight Committee, and then 3 members to the Governance Committee. The thought is that we will then look to see if the board will amend its bylaws to make these 3 committees standing committees moving forward. And the thought is that we would reappoint or appoint members to these committees at our December joint board Port Council meeting, the same time we elect our officers, since we're all in session then. So this is just kind of an initial appointment to get it through December. As an overview, I'll just say the IT Executive Steering Committee, which has its membership, oversees technology, strategy, cybersecurity posture, data governance, and major IT investments, which right now is the ADEA reservation system. The current members are John Cahill, Gordon Carr, Eric DeWicki, Peter Jeffrey, myself, and Rob Rainey from Nantucket. With the Capital Planning Steering Oversight Committee, that committee would be chartered to oversee the authority's infrastructure strategy, infrastructure procurements, and major infrastructure investments. The board has appointed Bob Jones from Hyannis to be on that committee. We were waiting in part from perhaps when New Bedford appoints its member, but I think in order to get things moving, we'll entertain to appoint someone at the next meeting, another board member, since these appointments go through December. And the idea, I think, will probably be Ted Gavin, in part so that we have not only a balance of board and port council members, but we have all the port communities usually being represented on the IT steering committee and the capital planning steering committee. And then the last is the governance committee, which would be responsible for ensuring board and port council are acting pursuant to the Enabling Act effectively and in line with good governance practices, and to maintain accountability, transparency, strong oversight, and leadership. Ted Gavin was appointed to the governance committee from the board and is its proposed chair. I know that Gordon, you and I speaking, we talked about that. We thought perhaps from a good governance standpoint, it makes sense to have the current chair of the Port Council and the current chair of the board also on the governance committee, just kind of de facto moving forward. So I presume I'll be appointed at the next, and so I'm asking that you be appointed to that committee too. And with that, although you and I have talked about some people that I thought would work on those committees, I'll leave it to the Port Council to appoint its members.
Great. Thanks, Peter. Yeah, let's spend a minute, get some questions or feedback from the council members on these two new committees, right? This is the balancing act of we all have day jobs, right? We're all busy, but there's a lot going on at the authority right now. There's always a lot going on, but it seems like particularly right now, both sort of backward looking after action work that Alex is going to want to do on some of the capital stuff. And in light of the IG report, some more focus on governance. The authority needs us, a little bit extra for this period of time. And so that's why I think it's an excellent idea what Peter and the board have done to set up these two committees in particular. And the way he has said it, whoever, agrees to join them now, I guess it's a bit of a trial period, you can see, before we reconstitute in December. I have served on the IT committee now. Peter's dedication to no more than 60 minutes is real. And I think we'll try to do the same on these committees as well, because we know how busy you all are. So we will try to manage these things as efficiently as he's managed to do the IT steering committee. So understanding how busy everyone is. So I'll stop and see if there are any general questions on either of the committees from the Port Council. And if not, then I will go ahead and start throwing around some names. Rob?
Just what the anticipated cadence is of the meetings, just in general.
So, Rob, I would say that kind of mirroring the IT Executive Steering Committee, the Capital Planning Steering and Oversight Committee, I presume will meet monthly, given the number of capital projects we have coming up. I have to say that because it's focused, I think it's easily can be done in kind of a 60-minute once a month session with probably 4 to 8 hours of read on beforehand, but some of it will just make your Port Council meetings more efficient as well, because this will allow us to do deep dives with and leverage the expertise of the Port Council and board members in these areas to then make recommendations to the Port Council and board.
Okay.
And they're all open meetings.
All right, thanks. And just one other question before I turn it over to John and Nat. Is the remit of each of these, would that be a sort of an early, is it going to be dictated by some overarching sort of set of requirements in terms of the way these are being established, or do the committees then have an opportunity to kind of create what their mission is, what their goals and objectives are?
There is a general charter that we put forth in our creation and our action plan, but I think it's pretty broad. I mean, the Capital Planning Steering Oversight Committee is to oversee the authority's infrastructure strategy, procurements, and major infrastructure investments. So I think with that charter, I think the committee has a lot of leeway of what it wants to prioritize and focus on in conjunction with the general manager.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, I think particularly with that one, sort of agenda topics are done in conjunction with Alex in a way on what his sort of immediate needs are on the capital planning side. And, as we go forward, I think we have some ideas on the short term, and then we'll see where it goes from there. And I wasn't fast enough to see. I think, John, you had your hand up next.
Thanks, Chair. Quick question. Do we want to make these decisions today as to who would step up?
I'd like to. I think if possible, if people are a little wobbly, we can wait. But I think the more that Peter can go back to the board next week, following week.
Yeah, I would hope, John, that we can have the other two committees, the Capital Planning Steering and the Governance Committee, start meeting in June.
Okay.
So that we have 6 months of meetings. And as I said, Rob asked about the expectation of involvement. I presume that the Governance Committee will be perhaps quite busy for this year, but I presume moving forward, it's probably a quarterly meeting committee, unlike the Capital Planning Committee or the IT Steering Committee while we're still undergoing a DAA. It's going to be monthly.
Got it. Thank you.
Great. Matt?
Yes. Hi. Thank you, everyone. Okay. So I am thrilled about this. And I just want to say, first of all, without Zoom, we wouldn't be able to do this the way we can now. You just don't jump on the boat, go to Woods Hole, have a meeting about this stuff, as well as all your other meetings that you're doing. I mean, it just doesn't work. This works because we can have meetings that fit people's schedules and commitments they have, so forth. And we can talk about stuff that you can't just bring up. The way when we, in the past, like just talk about the Hyannis terminal, for example. I mean, all the different things that we've done in Hyannis over let's just say since the mid-90s has been, I mean, you wouldn't be able to track how we came up with all the different changes. I mean, it would be difficult, but if we can compartmentalize all our different needs, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 15, all this long range, short range stuff. Rob, I know you like talking about that. I have that over here with this long range thinking, as if they planned everything in 1900 to happen in 2000. But anyway, with that said, we have a lot to discuss. And I think that this is a way to make it work better for the public as well, because it makes us look like we're not planning correctly or thinking of all the nuanced problems that can come up with X project or B project or whatever. Now, this includes vessels and terminals, correct, Peter?
It does. Yep.
Yeah, Alex? Okay. Just want to make sure that I'm not wrong about something here in my mind.
Yeah, now, basically, the Capital Planning Steering and Oversight Committee is all infrastructure other than IT infrastructure.
Okay. Nope, because there are things like that parking lot potential purchase or the land next to the parking lot. Things like that come up. They're really important to discuss before they occur, because everyone's got a different mindset as to what should happen, So I appreciate this proposal, Peter and Alex and whoever else has come up with this. This is good. We need to do this, especially with new people coming in and out of, whether it's staff and whether it's board members. So thank you.
Terrific.
Are you looking for anything else?
Nope.
Or-
I'll take it from here.
Oh, okay.
I think unless there are any other questions. So from a sort of spreading the pain as evenly as we can, and also getting the different community representation that Peter mentioned. John, you're on IT already, so I was going to, and we've had these conversations, suggest that Nat and Rob serve on the capital planning committee, given both their experience and expertise. And similarly for Greg and Joe to serve on the governance committee, I guess for 6 months as chair. I'll serve on both of those as well for the short term, with the expectation of some relief in December, I guess. But I think Peter's exactly right. Whoever chairs Port Council ought to be on governance, right? And then we can see what the rotation is on capital planning as we go forward. So that is my suggested participation breakdown for now the 3 committees that we have active: IT, steering, capital planning, and governance. Questions, thoughts, objections at the last minute? Joe, this can't be an objection.
I would just move it forward. The only question I would have, and maybe Terrence can help with that. Do we have to change our bylaws also on the Port Council?
That's a great question, Joe. I'd have to take a look. Because typically, yeah, I'd have to take a look at it, because off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But for now, we're effectively establishing them as ad hoc committees to start out of the gate, right? And then we will memorialize.
Yeah, you can form whatever, the board can form whatever subcommittee they'd like to do in order to promote it. And the main thing is that everybody understands it's a public body under the open meeting law, and it follows along just like any other public meeting.
Joe, you just created the first agenda item for the governance committee.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's a chair if I've ever heard one. Right. Anything else? So, Peter, anything you want to add or wrap up before we take a quick vote on this?
No, I just thank everyone for considering this and being willing to try this experiment. I really think it will improve our governance, our transparency to the public, as well as leverage the various expertise the board and Port Council members have.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so can we just confirm the names on both committees? So it's
we need to clarify, because I'm taking notes here, and I think I have it, but I want to make sure that I have it correct.
For the Port Council, participation in the Capital Planning Committee, Port Council members are Nat Lowell, Rob Meunier, and Gordon Carr.
okay.
And for governance, the Port Council members are Greg Egan, Joe Solito, and also Gordon Carr.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
All right, I think I will formally request, and Joe, you can move. I will entertain a motion to appoint those representatives as just stated to the 2 new governance and capital planning committees.
So moved.
Thank you, Joe. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, John. All in favor, John?
Cahill, aye.
Greg?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. Excellent. Peter, thanks very much. Thank you again for, leading this at the board level. We're all looking forward to participating and supporting both the board and management on these 2 issues.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all very
Have a
much.
nice trip up to Vermont.
I'm here.
He's there.
Oh, you are?
He's gonna get back to packing. Yeah.
Where are you in
I gotta go
Vermont?
pack, yeah.
Where are you in Vermont?
I'm at your alma mater.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Good.
So it's move out day for my son. So
Very important. All right, get back to work. Thank you. And back to the agenda. We will go back on schedule to the general manager's report.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. First up we have is our engineering and maintenance projects update. So our vessels that are out and our Woods Hole terminal. So I will pass this over to Mark Amundsen. And Zach Lawrence will come over as well.
Good morning, everyone. A busy time in getting ready for the summer season with the completion of the Nantucket dry dock over at Thames. She just returned back, and asked Zach come over and do the presentation.
Morning, everyone. So here are the engineering and maintenance project updates. As Mark stated, the Nantucket's now finished her dry dock at Thames River Shipyard. She's returned to Fairhaven Repair. We have a few days before she's due into service to wrap up final fitment, painting, and engine services. The financial snapshot for the Nantucket dry dock. Original contract price was $1.55 million. We had several change orders, and some of those contributing factors were for the extended dry dock period, which was a result of the overhauls to the bow and stern doors. We had to get some of the work done that we would normally do in Fairhaven done in the yard for the shortened repair time that we'll see here in Fairhaven. So our grand total is $1.79 million. And the Aquinnah is now in repair. It runs from, she started April 14th, it'll run to about June 3rd. And here we're going to be converting all the engine starters to the new turbine style. We're servicing all the engines, the mains and auxiliaries, oil changes, filter changes. We'll be doing some inspections, further inspections, injector replacements, and valve lash. I'll be installing a shore power ammeter on the switchboard. We'll be conducting our annual dive survey to survey the bottom hull. We're going through our Coast Guard COI inspection, performing our periodic safety test procedures, renewing our life-saving equipment certificates, life rafts, and fire extinguishers, our annual cleaning and painting, and then we'll conduct our company sea trial. And we'll be prepping shortly for the Barnstable to go to our 2026 dry dock at Thames River Shipyard from June 10th to July 15th. And these are the major items that we'll be conducting while we're there. Shafting and cutlass bearings, some thruster maintenance, and we'll be doing the skeg extension as well. The Vineyard Haven Underdeck Concrete Repair Project. This is a little dated now. At the time that I put the presentation together, all of the repairs now have been addressed. The demolition work is 100% complete, and all concrete has now been finished pouring. And so ACK will be demobbing, and they'll be off Steamship property on or before the 8th of May. And just a few photos to show some of the repair areas. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions for Zach on either the vessel repairs or the last piece of Woods Hole? Joe?
Greg.
Oh, sorry, Greg was first. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Gordon. I was curious, the vessel that had prop damage, and we got some props from Hornbeck, I guess it was. Has that vessel been dry docked yet?
That's the Barnstable, and that dry dock hasn't occurred yet.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Can I just ask a quick question? Oh, I'm sorry. Greg's hand is, sorry. Zach, just a quick, this is more of a staff, all of you question, I think. So no one's picked up on this probably, but having the Barnstable go out in the summer, is that what we're doing?
That's correct.
Okay. So this is like I don't think we've done this in a while. This is interesting. I know
summer dry dock, you mean?
Yes, that's what I mean. Sorry about that. Go on. So having this relationship with Connecticut being the only shipyard right now must be part of the reason we're doing this, because they have an opening, I'm assuming. And two, having the Sankaty as a backup in the summer, something goes wrong, one of these boats, we have a backup. Because having one of these three out in the summer is not what we normally would be. This wouldn't be what we would do if everything was perfect. So I just want to keep that in mind, that this is good that we are able to do that in the summertime and have in better weather up here, better for them to work. All of that is important. Because we used to talk about this, Zach, a long time ago, about having enough boats to have year-round dry docking stuff going on, which is important I just want to make that point, because it's something that would kind of look overlooked a little bit. Like, this is a good thing that we can do that. So, thank you.
Great. Joe?
Yeah, this hasn't been brought up. What was the problem with the Monomoy, where it's just been refitted and brand new, and that was out of service?
That was an issue with communication signal between the wheelhouse and the main engines. It's been rectified.
Yeah, thank you.
Other questions for Zach? Rob?
Yeah, just general question about shipyards and what the sort of current status is relative to shipyard options. And I think I recall that we're down an option. And how does that play out during the rest of the year?
So that doesn't allow us. We send our dry dock packages out to about 14 yards, and generally we only receive one to sometimes up to as many as only three responses, and so that certainly doesn't give us the option to stack dry docks at the moment. But I know that in June we'll be attending a marine log conference to help network and try to build relationships with other shipyards.
Okay. I didn't know to what extent this issue might, have been shared with our local representatives or up to the governor's office. I know that there's interest in an initiative with the governor's office about, shipyard capability. And so it would seem like we want to be sure this message is there, that we are somewhat have a hand tied behind our back, and that would be, an important sort of additional data point for them to consider.
Yeah, just as a follow-up on that, many of our, other ferry companies, we all have relationships with specific shipyards. So order books have filled up. Right now, the order books are very full in a lot of the shipyards. So we're constantly getting our specs out sooner and earlier. It certainly is it's a disappointment not having Senesco there with their dry dock due to proximity. But we're just going to have to keep moving, try to get our specs out sooner. And obviously, we have a great relationship with Dame Shipyard, but we got to also develop other shipyards as an alternative.
Zach, are you familiar with the floating dry dock, the sort of the modular one that East Boston Shipyard just deployed? They're doing repairs to the MBTA ferries, which are certainly smaller than our freight boats. But are you familiar? Seems to me it's relatively new to at least Boston Harbor, but it seems like a new piece of infrastructure.
I've heard about it, but in terms of their capacity and what they're able to haul out, I'm not aware of at this time.
Yeah, me either. But
might be worth a visit.
Yeah, well, and this is timely. That one of my meetings here in Boston today is related to a lot of this stuff, so I will be able to bring that up directly, as you guys both suggested. So,
thank you.
All right. If there's nothing else for Zach, we can go on, I think, to Alex in the Woods Hole Terminal project.
Yeah, we do. Before we jump off vessels altogether, we do have a little update on the INO. Mark can give a little bit more details on that, but we did discover a crack on the stern of that vessel and pulled her out of service yesterday. So, Mark, if you want to give a quick update.
Yes, back in the transom area, we found a crack on the area and subsequently removed the vessel from service. Right now, we're still in the survey mode. The crack goes to multiple areas. I'll let Zach elaborate a little bit more, but right now we're still developing the repair plan. It's not intended to remove the vessel to dry dock. It can be done in water. So, Zach, you want to add anything more to that?
Just the crack was found and reported during a routine inspection on Sunday night by the chief engineer on the vessel. As Mark stated, we pulled the vessel from service. She's at the Fairhaven shipyard to undergo repairs, and we're working not only with Fairhaven shipyard but Gladding Hearn and the Coast Guard to finalize a formal repair procedure.
Zach, was that an internal inspection or an external inspection that found the crack?
It was found on a external.
It was found by our chief engineer doing their regular rounds, and it's on the outside, just on the outside transom. You could see it, and they chipped away the paint to make it clear. And they saw that it runs from the stern and then underneath as well.
It's the trunk, we call it the pipe chase trunk that bridges between both pontoons just after the main house.
So you brought it down to Somerset. We didn't go to.
Unfortunately, Gladding doesn't have availability, so it's
so it is at Somerset. I mean, at Fairhaven. Okay.
Yes.
I assumed that's where it went, but then somebody just said that, so I wasn't sure. So what are you thinking here? I mean, I'm getting nervous. I thought we might have it back tonight.
I think
it's gonna be a couple days.
Okay.
It's not just a simple weld. They're gonna have to crop out the metal and install a new plate.
Okay.
So the hope is Thursday or Friday.
So we need to tell the Scudders what's going on. Maybe they can plug that 315 or that 3, whatever they have once in a while in the off season, that one that gets in over here at 2:30 that afternoon for the sports teams. This is the time of year where the timing of boats is big, is what I'm saying. So, okay. Thank you so much. All right.
Right. If there's nothing else, now we'll go to the terminal project.
Okay. So now onto our Woods Hole Terminal project, and Mark, can you fill us in on that, please?
Okay. Good morning again. We've taken delivery of the utility building at the Woods Hole Terminal. We got our certificate of occupancy, and currently on Thursday we'll get the furniture moved in, and then we just got some minor training thing. We've done all the crew training, HVAC, power, everything is completed. So we're looking forward to getting into that building. In regards to the terminal itself, we're eyeing a June 16th date of completion of that phase of the project. And right now it's going together real quick. We're going to get the glass awnings that are due to arrive and start installation by the second week in May. We're supposed to get access to the terminal inside for our people to start working our IT and other projects interior to that by the May 21st. So we're moving quickly. Go to the next slide, Sean. As you can see, this is right now the current milestones. Where weather-tight interior installation is going on the pavers and guardrails is underway. Installation of the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection is underway, getting close to finishing. Installation of the interior ceiling flashes is nearing completion, and it's getting very close. So we've got a lot of work to do. Our date is June 16th. We've got to get our training complete. There's a lot of work to do for getting this ready, signage for the general public. And with that, I'll take any questions before I do the financial snapshot.
Nat, is your hand raised for this?
No, oh my God.
Okay.
Sorry
No,
about
that's fine.
that.
I just wanted to check.
I don't talk about these things.
You do now, by the way.
Yeah.
Mark, what's your confidence level on June 16th at this point?
It's very high. We're getting there. We go in there on a weekly basis now, and just amazing. I think it's going to be. It's a beautiful building. Can't wait to get it out and use it this summer. I think it's going to be a real bonus to our traveling public coming over to Martha's Vineyard.
Great. All righty.
We could put the financial snapshot up there, Sean.
Please, yeah.
So our budget for this project is 39.1 million. We've had payments to date of 31 million. Outstanding commitments and allowances 5.9 million. Current estimate is 36.9 million, and that's the status.
All right, thank you. Seeing no more questions on the construction project at this stage. Mark, thank you for the update. I don't know whether you or Alex is doing the circulation study.
Yeah, I can talk about Yes, I can talk about circulation study. Sorry, just had to check, make sure I was on audio. So we got the circulation study, and it's really, in looking at it, it's all about how the traffic flows within the terminal itself. And we've gone back and forth with them a bit since that original dates that we've originally got it. And it does look like if we can have the additional curb cut, the flow of traffic there on the site is going to flow fairly nicely. Without that curb cut, it gets to be much more difficult because we lose a lot of the basically our front porch staging because we have to pull trucks out from there to get out onto Cowdery Road and up Crane Street. But our current status right now is we've met with the Department of Public Works. We met with them last week with our architects and engineers to talk about the curb cut on Railroad Avenue to see what we can do about that so we can retain it and not lose the park as well, but how we can best do that to match up with the city's needs and the city's requirements. So they had a number of questions back for us on the latest draft that we sent them. We're currently in the process of reworking that, trying to incorporate their questions and their desires, and we'll be meeting again with them, I take it later this month. That's kind of where we stand right now.
Sorry, battling sirens outside the door, outside the window, so I keep muting myself. Okay. So we had gotten the circulation study in our packets, as well as some of the comments, the peer review comments from Hudson. Any questions or thoughts from Port Council members on the circulation study so far?
And I'd say one thing to add is I've met with the traffic mitigation committee here in Falmouth and the bicycle and pedestrian committees. And, I'm going to continue to work with them, but we do recognize that Falmouth PD is authorized to put staff down there at the Railroad Avenue intersection, kind of bolster that. We also will be bolstering our staff, and I've been working with Allison here that we're going to, and with Robbie Towns, to kind of augment our staff there so that we can minimize some of the traffic on Crane Street and obviously up Woods Hole Road by having more personnel work in the ticket booths and kind of walking the line, making sure people have their paperwork in hand and ready to go, and to be able to answer questions before they get to the ticket booth, because I've seen that myself. That can be I've caused the holdups there because I'll start to talk to a ticket booth person. The next thing you know, I got 5 cars behind me. So anything we can do to speed up that transition period where you get off the road and into the parking lot, we're going to try to do as much as we can.
Yeah, that'll be really important, especially in the early days,
Yeah.
So,
and I know that there's been trouble in the past where trucks have blocked. Sorry, I don't know the name of the street. The Juniper Point, and so we don't want trucks blocking there. So that's another reason why we want to make sure we have staff kind of policing the line, as it were.
and as you say, PD, right?
Yeah, and we'll be working in conjunction with the PD.
Availability, that'll certainly help as well. So,
yeah.
All right. Other comments, questions on circulation at this stage? Sounds like we're in a good place in trying to understand that and getting ready for mid-June.
Thank you.
All right. Hearing none. Last item up for bid is the reservation system replacement update.
Yep, that would be for Mark Amundsen, please.
Yep. Let us know where we stand.
Okay.
Mark.
Good morning again. If we can get the slide deck up there, Sean. So if we can get to the dashboard. So this is a True North dashboard summary. So just to bring up to date, so we've gone through the town halls and the shippers meetings to date. We've had Adia on site. Adia is going to be back out on site next week. We're testing the first release, updating budget and procurement. We'll get into that later. Upcoming key events, share updated release plan, the shared procurement plan with the port and the board and the port council, finalize statements of works and contracts, and Adia on site again, as I mentioned, next week. So right now we got business decisions, procurement, integration, and infrastructure, finalizing policy changes, which we'll be talking later because would like to get a vote from the board, from the port council, create data migration, terminal operations flow, and we have a new plan for release, a timeline, and we'll be getting into that with the next slide. So part of this in our dashboard, we have 2 areas which are in red, which would be affected by this new timeline. And the first one is in the R1 delivery plan and refining, and Adia has begun system configuration. So with this extension, could we go to the next slide, Sean? So right now, this is the initial timeline. The original timeline was too tight. Pre-season readiness requires the Adia system to also be ready, which is a challenge. Integrations, testing, training, internal, external, communications are not accounted for. So we have looked at it, and if we go to the next slide, please. So what we're proposing and would be asking for a vote is we want to split the winter bulks into would be placing them into the legacy system, and the spring bulks would be going into the Adia portal. And with this, we would be affecting the R2 go live date would now go to the end of March. Right now, it's at the mid-January date, and in this, we're going to gain 2 months, and this is allow us to right now training. We'd have to commence our training in August in the middle of our busy season with the it just didn't make a lot of sense. By going this, we'll get better training so we can start that in September rather than in early August, and that's a big benefit from us. But we'd be asking for a vote for that, and with that, if anyone has any questions on that.
Sorry. Yeah, so this was a topic of some discussion at the IT steering committee last week. This adjusted schedule to try to match up.
Yeah, just like that that we went to ADIA and asked if there would be any costs associated with extending this out, and they came back and said, no, there was no cost. That's why we'd be at the IT executive meeting, we talked about moving this off, but since we know that we won't incur any additional costs from ADIA on that. We will incur some additional costs with the PMO, Gibbous, but that will be it.
All right. John, did I see any hand up for you?
I think Mark just answered it with the fact of the no cost from ADIA. Thank you.
And with that, would like to get a vote for approval of extending the timeline before we go into the other policy changes. So would you rather go one vote at the end?
I think that's better. That second thing you said, Mark.
Okay.
So can I just ask a quick question here?
Please,
I don't want to go too overboard here.
No.
So our original plan was to implement this new system this fall, as I recall, correct?
That's correct.
So what are we, so the reservations for 2027 that we're going to be discussing later and that's going to still be done in our current system?
Yes.
Correct? Okay. I just want to just make sure I'm not wrong about something here in my mind. So when are we looking at so we're looking at bringing this in with the bulks and everything already in place, right, Mark?
That's correct.
Okay. That's good. That's all I need to hear right now. Thank you.
We got a breakdown of Sean, could you go to the next slide, please? So this is the benefits and the drawbacks of the updated project timeline. The benefits, we add 2 months to support integrations, preseason portal, testing, communications, and deployment. We put some slack in the plan. We maintain our winter system launch, and it's slightly less expensive when you calculate all in. The drawbacks is overlapping the bulk seasons, reduces time for manual data migration, and runs into the end of the year holidays, vacation schedules. So overall, I think there's a great benefit to doing this new timeline.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about a couple of those drawbacks at the IT committee meeting. The end of year timing, because we're making this decision now, right? There's lots of administrative and management time to try to manage that and make sure that there is sufficient staffing and everybody's in place during those final couple of weeks that can be a little bit light, but they're going to be kind of critical for the project and the rollout. So yeah, it's a few months behind, but I think, potentially it makes sense to get a little bit more time to have that slack and to make sure that we're ready in the spring.
Okay, next slide. Okay, and there's just some of the benefits, there's actually financial benefit of not accelerating the cost of trying to figure that into the present schedule. So we really believe that this is the proper way to go, is the extension of the schedule. Next Next slide. So with Mark Rozum, if you could take over for the preliminary budget for the res system.
Sure. So at the IT steering committee, I believe it was last week, we went over the preliminary budget. And so if anyone wants to look at that on our channel for a more in-depth review, I'd encourage that, but I'll go over a high level of what we did. So here we have this is just for the IDEA system itself. In the second column, OP, or it'll be capital, it indicates whether it's operating cost or capital cost. So we expect the implementation cost to be just under $2.5 million. We've spent just over $1 million, or 43% of the implementation cost. It's in progress, and the owner is Mark Amundsen. We've added contingencies in there. Also, we have no change orders so far for the project. Right now, the contingencies, we've incurred about $36,000 as of the IT executive steering meeting, and that was when IDEA came on site. Then the last part of this bucket here is the annual licensing and hosting. It's the software license as well, hosting it in the cloud. Of that, since it's in implementation, we've only spent a small amount, and the majority of that is on the hosting side, or about 3% of the project. So for the direct cost related to the IDEA software itself over 2026 or 2030, we're expecting $6 million outlay. And right now we spent about $1.2 million, or 20% of that. Okay, on the next slide. Here are the different system integrations, like automating or making the bulk process for the shippers more efficient. The estimate we have is $733,000. We've spent $660,000, or about 90%. The contract will either be the contract number for reference in the future projects, or the staff summary, what the status is and who the business owner is. Data migration, we had a great meeting when IDEA was on site. Most of that we're going to be able to handle internally with the help of the previous reservation system administrator. And the goal is to really not have any reservations go from one system to the other. We're really talking about accounts, coupon books, walk-on passenger tickets as the majority of that data migration. And then we have the travel alerts and notifications, integrations with the accounting system, where we'll gain efficiencies of importing this data on a real-time basis, and better forecasting tools we'll have for updates for everyone. Website integration, where some of the things that IDEA doesn't have or does have, we just have to incorporate that with the website that's waiting to go. And we have made successful reservations on the website in the test environment. And then in January, it was IT staff support and augmentation. That's to help the IT people either be trained or augment their staff with some of these integrations going forward, such as the integration to the cloud. So all in all, we're expecting to spend about $1,375,000 integrations. And right now, we're about 59% complete as far as spend goes. On the next slide, this is third-party software where we have a vehicle database subscription. So if you say I have a 2020 Honda Accord, it'll tell you the dimensions of the vehicle. We have a hazardous material subscription that'll check for the compatibility of these hazardous materials on the vessels, as well as making sure we get the right classifications. And then the reservation text and emails, that is for people who sign up for our travel alerts who do not have a reservation. So the IDEA system has that in their functionality, where they don't have it for people who sign up for our travel alerts, and that's what that reservation text and emails are. Okay, excuse me. No, that is for the service to send out the text from IDEA. On another slide, we'll see on the previous slide with the integrations is for the travel alerts. My apologies. So for 5 years, we expected $161,000 of roughly about $30,000 a year, $32,000 a year for spend for the subscriptions to feed the system with different information. Okay, project management, the IT project manager support that's already been awarded. The IDEA system project management, that one's been awarded. At the IT steering, we've asked for Gibbous to come back with a estimate and a proposal for the from July to the end of the project to launch to give a scope of work and a cost estimate of what that'll be, and we'll update that number. And then training, as we mentioned earlier in the budget, we'll be having outside sources and then looking at, do we have inside sources to make sure our internal resources are trained, but also we have training for our shippers using the bulk portal, as well as our customers using the new website and the reservation system. This is the hardware where we have fixed scanners and handheld scanners. We spent about $111,000 and we've received the handheld scanners already. We have network equipment that we're deploying to make sure that we have great wireless coverage for our customers who are making reservations on their phones while they're on site, or for our employees managing the system, as well as computers for all of our workstations who are going to be using the system as well. So the handheld scanners and the computers we've already received on site. So we're expecting about $1 million in capital hardware, and of that, we spent about $300,000. So all in all, we have capital expenses of about $2.5 million and operating expenses of $7.5 million over the 5 years. The one-time costs, we have about $6.5 million with the IDEA system implementation cost, integration cost, hardware cost, and PMO cost. Then down below, we break it up what the annual cost will be for third-party software, as well as the hosting and the licensing with the IDEA software. This slide is the cash expenditure side, what cash outlays we expect to spend per year by each category. And then on the next slide is when we expect to realize these costs. So if it's a capital item, it'll be depreciated over the useful life. If it's a software subscription, in accordance with GASB 96, it'll be amortized over the life of the subscription. So for the IDEA implementation costs and license, right now, for the implementation costs, excuse me, we're using a flat line, a straight line methodology, but that'll change a little bit, but those are generally the numbers we're looking for. So down below, we're giving what the expected impact on the operating budget will be from 2027 to 2030. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mark? I have one little one, but it's a lot of information. Joe?
Maybe going back a little bit, when we had these meetings on the Vineyard, we were told that this was going to be November or December, somewhere around there, and now we're talking March. How do we answer to the public on this?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to get the benefit of getting this is going to be better communication and better training out there. The schedule probably was not optimum when we did the initial schedule. Now that we're into this, we can really see the challenge points, and also we have a lot of development going on with all the different aspects from IDEA. It is just extended, and the extension is not really going to affect the project rollout.
I guess my question, Mark, with that is that it only was a month ago, and I'm sure we're going to get some questions as to why a month ago we were on schedule, now we're off schedule, so to speak.
So if I could just to clarify as the project manager, so to be clear, we had always said that we were going to go live in the fall, and that we were going to take IDEA's lead as the commercial off-the-shelf system. And so the plan had always been to set a preliminary go live, and that once we got through the design specification, they would come back and say, okay, now let's establish the actual go live date. And so that's why we haven't been forecasting a date. We've been forecasting a season. And we received the timeline from IDEA, and in order to accommodate all of the different configurations, um, the timeline that was proposed that was shared added about 2 months to the development timeline, which was going to reduce the time available for testing, reduce the time available for communication. And so what we're suggesting here is then we're moving the timeline by approximately a month to go live with the commercial shippers. And the plan would be that that the general public is going to be able to go in and start creating their profiles, start getting used to the new system before they have to make a reservation. So really kind of doing a slower ramp up on the public side to make it a little easier, make it a little easier to communicate, give people some time to get used to the system, and then still take reservations start taking reservations in, I guess it'd be the late fall, but in December for this new kind of split spring season.
I guess I'm not saying we should have a good explanation to give to the public about why we're doing this.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about this on the committee, and it's sort of, we used the old adage of, cheap, fast, and good, pick two, right? The problem here, though, is trying to get to that original October timeframe is just one of those. It's just fast, right?
I understand
it's more expensive, and we don't know how good it will be because we will be rushing things like training and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm sure, I mean, the impatience that I'm sure you hear on a regular basis, Joe, is understandable. But, I think on balance, certainly the IT committee felt like let's do this once and do it right, and if that means another couple of months to do that after all the work that's gone into it and the money that's gone into it, it was right. Life is trade-offs, and that was
I'm not disagreeing with that, but I think we should have some presentation to make with the public to let them know why a month ago it was this way and now it's changed. That's all.
Yep. Indeed. John?
Yeah, just to go further than what Gordon was saying, being part of the IT steering committee, Joe, I don't know if this will help, but you could build a case that we're 5 years overdue. And so now we're
longer than that, John.
Yeah, we're getting closer. It's now down to 2 months. And I support the change, even though I was somewhat disappointed. I understand it and realize it.
Yeah.
And then if I could, Mr. Chair, just one more question for Mark Rozum. Is Mark here?
He's here.
Oh, there you are. Mark, you and I had some conversations before, and I think this is important to share with the Port Council. As Gibbs pointed out to us 2 years ago, that we were, as an entity, Steamship Authority, was suffering from technology debt. In other words, we hadn't been making investments. Once we're all done and up and running, and everything's going out the door and we're running smoothly, are we within the IT management guidelines for an organization of our size for the spending? I don't know if I phrased that properly, but our budget is obviously going to increase. But my understanding from working with you is that we're definitely within the general guidelines of an IT budget for an organization our size.
Yeah, I don't know the number off the top of my head. I think we're in like 4%. I can get that to the Port Council number. That's something we looked at.
Yeah.
And I apologize, I don't have that. I'll have it for the end of the meeting, but I don't have it right offhand.
Right. And I think that's important that the Port Council realizes that when we're all said and done and we put all this in place, is that if you look at what's generally acceptable in the IT world, anywhere from 4 to 7% is a healthy number for an IT budget. And we're well within those guidelines. So I would recommend approval of this, as Gordon had asked earlier.
All right, so a recommendation for approval to the new time frame has been made by John
Yep.
Cahill,
Yep.
seconded second
I'll
by
second
Nat.
it.
We'll roll call John,
Cahill, aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
and Rob,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and I too am an aye. Okay, so that is the new time frame and the budget. Now we're on to the new set of policies, right? Remember we did the sort of mad sprint in February and March on some real urgent matters on policy changes for the new reservation system. I appreciate everybody's participation in that and the really extraordinary, I thought, outreach that management put forward for input from the communities, both virtual and in person, standing up a bunch of meetings on sort of short notice to get those pressing matters done. There's more. So it was in the packets. You saw them. There are a number of policy changes here. I will say we're at the 90-minute mark now. We have a fair amount of new business and old business. Just to level set, are you going to want votes on these policy changes from us today?
Yes.
We
could have Tom Innes run through an abbreviated high level and then see where we are at the end.
Yeah, I'm back to my cheap, fast, and good, right? I don't want it too abbreviated because we got to understand what we're talking about, right? These are policy changes that everybody, when they leave these meetings, are going to need to explain to them. So be methodical as you need to be, Tom, walking through these, and we'll just bear down.
Sure. My suggestion would be for this one, what I can do is run through at a high level, similar to how we did at IT steering. I can run through at a high level what the changes are, and then if there's any we want to discuss or folks have comments or questions on, then we can dive into the more detailed slides if that works for folks, because some of these are more minor changes. And then some will likely warrant some further discussion.
So we'll do it like town meeting. Tom will go through this. Everybody just yell hold if you need us to come back to another item, and then we'll revisit. I'll keep track and we'll revisit the holds.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Okay, Sean, if you go to the next slide. Okay, if you could stay on this slide for a moment. So we've discussed the implementation timeline. I'm not going to go into detail of some of the highlights of the new system, but just as a reminder that some of the key things that folks are, have expressed a lot of concern about, we're maintaining, we're going to make sure are in the new system. So the standby functionality on the Nantucket route, an updated version of the Blue Line on the Vineyard route, the prioritization of medical travel, all of those things will continue. In terms of and then one more thing that will also continue is preferred space. There will be preferred space. We're working with the vendor on how to have that into the system, but preferred space, the 30-day, 7-day, 1-day that allows improved last-minute travel by the islanders will continue. So the cancellation policy, there is not going to be a change to the cancellation policy for the traveling public. So if the current 15-day policy remains, there is a new change policy that is, whereas today there is no fee for the first change. Under the new system, there will be a $10 fee for the first change. For the new no-show policy, today, if you are a no-show, you can stand by later in the day. Under the new policy, you need to tell us. So you need to give the steamship a heads up if you're not going to be able to make your trip, so that we can make accommodation for that and make sure that if you're not going to make a trip, then someone else gets that space. The In terms of the coupon books, so coupon books will be replaced by functionality within the system called subscriptions. So this will be a digital functionality. We believe that this actually is overall an improvement, but it does represent a change. So we've covered it as a policy change. On gift cards, similarly, gift cards will move from being a physical card to being a digital gift card. That being said, you can still print it out and hand it to someone. It just exists as a digital gift card. Furlough policy. So the current policy requires active service members to be in uniform, and this is just a policy change that they are no longer going to be required to be in uniform. In terms of motorcycle policies, a couple things here. So we're updating the vehicles so that a motorcycle will now need to be a motorcycle as you sort of picture it in your head as a motorcycle. So a two-wheeled vehicle less than 4 feet wide. There's a number of vehicles that are essentially the size of cars. If they have 3 wheels, they're classified on the highway as motorcycles, but they'll need to book a reservation with the new system and with this new policy. The other change on motorcycle is there's a fare that is used very, very infrequently. That was a fare where you could take your bike to one island and then to the other island at a discount. We're going to remove that fare just in part as just administrative simplification. And then any points of clarification before I move on to commercial policies?
No.
Questions?
Okay.
No? Okay.
Okay. We can always come back to it, but just on the commercial side, so we're just updating the preseason booking process. This will be captured in a new system that will be attached to the reservation system. And the booking process will also follow the new functionality around standby and waitlist, so that'll be incorporated into the preseason booking flow. For no-shows for commercial, this will be similar to the traveling public, where a no-show does not automatically become a standby later in the day. And then the change and cancellation policies are being updated, where there's a change in the fees, but largely the change is that today commercial vehicles can make a change up to 1 hour before a trip, and then under the new policy, a change will need to be made 24 hours before a trip. If a change is made before 24 hours, there's just a $10 fee to change the reservation. If it's made after the 24-hour, or if it's made within the 24-hour period, then there's a 10% charge, which this has gone through a lot of discussion with the commercial shippers, gotten a lot of feedback, and so this one's gone through several iterations to get to this point. So again, the policy would be that if you make a change within 24 hours, it's a 10% charge. At the same time, we are removing the 10% deposit. So effectively, the fee is the same as the original deposit fee. Transfer policy today, we have a policy where certain shippers are allowed to, within a commodity, exchange reservations. In the future, the policy changes that this will have to go through will have to go through Mashpee, and that the transfer of reservations will now only be between hazardous trips. So hazardous maintains the ability to transfer within hazardous, but other shippers will have to go through the reservations department. Smoothing is being updated. The currently smoothing is set at 110%. It will now be set at 100%. And then hazardous will now be added to smoothing. Right now it's excluded from smoothing, but it'll be based on the highest of the last 3 years. There's also going to be some updates to the commodities themselves, in particular adding a medical commodity that's been long asked for, and removing the infrequent hazardous commodity. The final thing is just an update of the policy on steel tread vehicles, so that steel tread vehicles now must be carried on a trailer, in part because just this is both a time issue, and then also the driving a steel treaded vehicle can be really detrimental to the decking. So this again, the should be a minor policy update, but want to make sure that we're being transparent and clear around the change of policy. I think that covers it all. Are there any that we want to dive into in more detail?
Thanks, Tom. That was great. Good summaries for each. Any that we want to revisit for members of the Port Council? Seemed like pretty clear explanations, but Joe?
Just going back to that $10 fee for changing a reservation for the first time. I think that's going to be a problem here on the Vineyard. I know myself, if I'm in Boston, you're at a doctor's appointment, the doctor's appointment gets over early, I'll go on the phone, see that there's a reservation instead of on the 2:00 boat, 2:30 boat, I can get on the 12 o'clock boat. I have to pay $10 for changing that.
So if you were to go online and make the change, and it was not covered as part of a medical, a medical fare, then yes, by making that change, you'd have to pay the $10.
I think you're going to get a lot of feedback on that. I know there was some feedback at the public meeting that we had on the $10 fee. There's no way that you can keep the present system in, at least get one for nothing.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but my understanding for the ADEA system is it's either an all or nothing system. Either we charge for all changes or we charge for no changes. Is that right, Tom?
Yeah, that's correct. That's within their system. This is one where we can continue to explore with the vendor, if there's further options with this. But that's what the vendor had come back with.
So my suggestion was that we're going to put a lot on Mashpee on our terminals on this, especially as we're rolling out this new system, because there's going to be a lot of questions, a lot of comments that people get. And to your point, Joe, I think if something like that happens, we will be authorizing Mashpee or the terminal to waive that fee. So if they contact somebody and say, "Hey, I have this issue, I want to change my," I keep saying I want to say my flight, but change my reservation. Mashpee or Robbie Towns down in Woods Hole or Dave Kelly over in Nantucket, they will have the ability to make that happen and waive that fee. And that's where we're going to have that, I think, with a lot of these policies, especially as we're rolling them out. We want to make sure people commit to the new system and really work the new system. And a big thing, like Tom said, we want people to contact us and let us know what's happening. In any way they can. We're going to be boosting our our numbers of reservation people and our phone system to get that updated so that we can take those calls or take text messages. So we know this is going to be a learning process for all of us, and we want to make it as smooth as possible. So we will accommodate a lot of flexibility, or provide a lot of flexibility, I should say.
Thank you.
And just so I understand, you're talking about waiving the fee really under Joe's scenario where it's a medical appointment that is either runs early or runs late. But if you're meeting with your accountant runs early or late, you may not get the waiver. Is that right? This is more discreetly related to Joe's example of a medical appointment. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm doing it both ways. I'm just saying that you go to something, you back, you want to come back a little earlier. You're up in Boston, you go online, you see there's a reservation, you book it. That's I think
we're trying to keep it as similar as it currently is right now, and currently it is that first change is free of charge.
Yeah.
So we would look trying to do the same thing.
Right.
And then again, as Tom said, the blue line is still going to be there. Standby line is still going to be there in Nantucket, and then if you get in that line, you're not going to get charged for taking that earlier boat.
Thank you.
Matt?
That's right. What Alex just said there was half of what I was going to say. When you do a wait list and you get the match, that's almost the same thing as changing your reservation online, theoretically. But what Joe is bringing up is when you don't know you need to change it, and then you look it up and you can do it. In the Nantucket route, we just go to the boat and just get on an earlier boat. Like, it's different than over there with your blue line stuff. I don't like getting into that Vineyard stuff because I don't fully understand still to this day how that all works over there. But over here, it's you just get down there and get on a go. We call it a go ahead. So my question, I kind of missed the first two things. I had to take a call. Cancellation policy. What did we do with that for trucks? Didn't we leave it the same, or are we doing something different now? Tom, sorry. Jesus.
Yeah. So the
I got your name. Oh my God.
yeah, no worries. Well, is that one, Sean, do you want to jump to that one if that's possible? I think that's on the presentation number 3.
Sorry, I'm trying to. All right,
this is it, right?
All right, so that's
Yes.
the same as we have now in pretty much exactly.
So so Sean, if you go up one slide, so currently the cancellation change or pen has to happen before 9 a.m. To avoid a fee, and then changes must be made at least an hour before the reservation time. And again, under the system, the first change is free. Under the proposed policy on the next page, so there's no pending or reservations that if you cancel completely with less than 24 hours, there isn't a refund. If you cancel more than 24 hours, you can get a full refund. If you make a change within the 24-hour period, it's a 10% fee. If you make a change outside the 24-hour period, it's a $10 fee. And then we just want to highlight again that there's going to be improved functionality for commercial shippers to manage their reservations online. So today they're really beholden to the hours when the trucks department is open, which means that
okay, so that's
have a hard time making changes over the weekend. Now they're going to be able to do it.
All right, but that right there. Okay, so this is where we get into. Okay, so with the timestamp thing, okay, I think we talked about this at one of the get-togethers that 5 people showed up. So that means you got to cancel a lot more than 24 hours. for the first like for that early boat. In
Well,
other words, the 5:30 a.m., 6:30 a.m., the office is not open. So if you email the before they're open to get the 24 hours in. So
well, instead of emailing, they can just go online and cancel it themselves.
oh, okay. All right.
So better than email.
Okay.
They can actually just do self-serve cancellation.
All right, that's okay. I'm sure that can get worked out then. All right, never mind. I think we did talk about that. Sorry if I'm not remembering
No, I
every
appreciate
single
because
thing that we talked about. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we're sort of like at the end now, and we have to make sure that we've not forgotten anything.
That's right.
All right. That's good.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
Other comments, questions on this new set of proposed policy changes? I'm not seeing any.
So can I just?
Yeah.
I know that Allison is in the room somewhere. Oh no, online somewhere. Sorry, we're all on Zoom today. I just want to make sure that the policies that we've had, you talked about the transferring thing for the gas. Tom, let's just pretend that we're 2 years into this now, right? We're just here. Hi, how's it going? It's May 5th, 2028 right now. Okay. And I say, hey, we need to change something with, say, multi-stop food trucks in the reservation system. Is that going to be able to work like it always did with staff being able to do that? If we wanted to make a policy to make their vehicles, when somebody cancels one of the, because I'm not asking for them to have the ability to transfer because they're not all the same people.
Yeah.
However, it's important that if a food truck cancels, I'm talking about a multi-stop food. There's a lot more companies coming here now, aggregately probably taking up the same amount of space on the boats, but different companies and different size vehicles. If a food truck cancels one of those early boats and another food truck is waitlisted for the early trip, that they get that space before a general truck does. That's the kind of stuff we have got to make sure that we don't mess that up. Because right now they have that, I believe, at least in the summer, but I think we're making that year round. But we need to make sure that stuff doesn't get, cannibalized by all these new fancy things we're doing. Because that's the way the stuff needs to work.
Yeah, we want to make sure that if a truck cancels, it doesn't automatically then go to 3 cars. We want to make sure another truck gets it, or another truck within that category.
Right. These early trips, it's vital to get them almost like you're manually putting the vehicles on, because I've been waiting 25 years to get these trucks here early, and it's still not working perfectly. And I'm running out of time. So
Nat, to answer your question quickly, there are configuration rules both in the preseason portal that handles the bulks as well as the DS system to make those type of adjustments that you're requesting, regardless of what the category is.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking, Mark. It's just like once we change all this, can we come back in our normal procedures to try to clean things up a little bit as time goes on? That's kind of like what I'm asking.
Yeah, very much. The new system offers a lot of flexibility in terms of updates, changes, in terms of booking rules. It has very advanced booking rules.
Yeah.
As Alex mentioned before, we're trying to minimize the changes as we go into the system, but there's a lot of flexibility within the new system to self-manage, to come up with new rules to make sure that prioritization works the way as intended. So there'll be a quick learning process, but yeah, the plan would be that under your scenario 2 years from now, as as the folks who are using the system really understand, how it works, that there'll be the ability to continue to tweak, to continue to improve, to continue to be able to reflect, future policy changes within the new system.
Okay. And Allison's listening because this is the one that I just thought of now I couldn't think of before to say. So one of the things that used to happen, or maybe it still does, hopefully not. Let's say a gas truck cancels the early trip. That truck is 64 feet, 65 feet long. In the old system, or one of the problems with the system, is that match for the wait list will go to something that's the same length. Yet there is multi-stop foods are all smaller, and they may not get that space or two of them under the old system. That's insanity that could actually happen. So Allison, what is your thought on that scenario? Is that going to be able to get cleaned up with this? I know we've discussed this in the last 6 months or something. I've brought this up before, but I just don't remember when. But you know what I'm talking about, though, don't you?
Yeah, because like you were saying, right now, if a fuel truck is 64 feet and it cancels, if there's another fuel truck on the wait list, that reservation automatically goes to them.
Well, that's different. That won't happen usually.
Right. But after that, it should be going to the multi-stop food trucks. And because we're no longer dealing with space, we're dealing with linear feet, it might be a small 3 and a 2 space can
That's
get it,
good.
as opposed to one
Yeah.
3 space and a car space, which is of no use.
Excellent. So this problem is going to get fixed by this system somehow without getting too complicated. And just that scenario that I just gave you, I know you understand what I mean. That's why I brought it up,
Right.
It's one of those makes no sense things that we can't seem to clean that up. You know what I mean? So thank you. That's good. Okay.
All right.
Sorry about that. Okay.
Anything else, Nat? Are you good?
No, I'm good now. Sorry.
Yep.
Did my hand stay up? Okay.
Apologies. Nope. I want to make sure everybody's squared away on these. Last comments, questions from the Port Council on the proposed policy updates. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to recommend to the board approval of the new policies as presented this morning.
So moved.
Thank you,
Yes,
John.
second.
Thank you, Nat. All in favor, John?
Hey, Hill,
Greg?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye, with a reservation, so to
Yeah.
speak, about the $10 fee change.
I made a note of it, and I will when I provide the update to the board next week. I will mention that and mention Alex's explanation and acknowledgement of that concern. Okay, so you're an aye. You bet. I am also an aye. Excellent. Thank you, Tom. Thanks again for walking through those expeditiously. So on to old and new business. I'd like to take a couple of items just out of order if possible. There's some interest in discussing the different sensors and monitors that are be installed at Vineyard Haven. So I'd like to take that out of turn, but Rob, you have a comment before I do so.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have a hard stop at 11:20, and I see that's a very long list.
Yes.
I just wanted to give a heads up.
Yep. I was fearing this when I saw this list.
Oh.
So let's see how far we can get with as many of us as are able to stay. I have a hard stop a bit later than that, but this was an action-packed agenda. So with that, I'd like to take G&H first at John Cahill's request to discuss the air monitor device and the sea level sensor being installed at Vineyard Haven Terminal. Is that a Mark?
What's that?
No, those are mine.
Well, those are Alex.
Mark had been approached, but basically what it is we've been approached on two levels. One for an air monitoring device to be installed at both these are Vineyard Haven. One's a sea level rise monitoring device, and have the full background there on both of those. And I think it's important for us to do both of those. Obviously, sea level rise is a major issue for the islands and for the mainlands, and it's something we should partner with them on. I think they do have a sensor actually over there at the Woods Hole. Marab, I think you guys have one of these sea level rise monitors on your campus already. And then the air monitoring device, I actually have it here in hand. It's something that's been procured by Martha's Vineyard Commission, and we can install that over there in the Vineyard Haven fairly easily. And I think the concern on our part is like, well, what if we find some negative information about our boats? And my response to that is that's great. We want that information because that only helps us as we start to put together this capital planning committee. Because if we need to get new boats, we need to get new boats. So I think it's really important for us to do that for the public and for ourselves.
I think you're muted, Gordon.
Sorry, too many sirens. John.
If you would like, Mr. Chair, I can have Phil Wallace, who's one of the community leaders on the sensors, to give you a brief overview.
If he can do it, we'd love the overview. We'd love a brief overview even more, if that's possible, given our time frame. Can you pull him in, Sean? Thank you. Mr. Wallace, welcome.
Hi, everybody. I'll be brief. Phil Wallace, Executive Director, Vineyard Lands for our community. We're working with Huey and Brown University to set up a network of sea level and meteorological sensors, actually all throughout New England. They're currently in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and New Hampshire. We are requesting 2 of these to go on Steamship Authority property. The other 3 in Vineyard Haven have been agreed to. One at Safe Harbor over in Lagoon, Black Dog, and on an Eversource utility pole. We would install with Mark's oversight. We met with Mark on site. We're requesting 2 locations, one for a sensor, probably down on what we call the dinghy dock, so it can be as close to sea level as possible. The other is the actual hub communication center, which would be located adjacent to the 2nd floor. I'll call it maintenance and utility room. Mark, you have a different name for it, but it would be hooked up by electricity there, but we would use cell technology, not internet. Mark made it very clear that hacking has been a huge issue for you all, so we would do this independently, share the information with you. We get data every minute through this particular site. Last point is that our intention is to roll this out in the other ports on the island, but we're starting with Vineyard Haven because it is the port for the island. That's it.
All right. Thank you very much. Mark,
welcome.
Yeah, just very, very simple installations on both the air monitor and the sea level.
More data is better. Always. John.
My understanding is that are we looking to make a vote today to go forward with these 2?
I think it's probably a recommendation for the board to go forward, right?
Right.
Yeah. So,
I'd like to make a motion that we would go forward with these 2 initiatives that we just discussed.
All right. Motion made to recommend to the board that we move forward.
Second.
Thank you, Joe. All in favor, John?
Cahill, aye.
Greg?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
Rob?
I'm going to abstain just to avoid any appearance of conflict.
Oh, fair enough. Oh, right. Joe?
Aye.
And Gordon's an aye too. All right, that's great. Alex, we may do a little triaging here on old and new business on things that we definitely want, because I'm hoping we still have patient public comment folks out there at this hour, and I want to make sure that we have time for them to do so. What on here must we dispense with today
Well, there's the governor, and you guys have successfully kicked the can on that one before, so you can always kick the can on that one. The only thing I've updated there is the number of days that the boats have run basically in the last 3 years, and of course the governor's run very few compared to the other ones. If you don't want to make a decision there, we can hold off on that. It's just the boat's sitting over in Fairhaven right now. The Oak Bluffs terminal preparation, I'm going to zip through these quickly, and we can come back to them. The Oak Bluffs preparation, I just want to let you know that opening day is on the 14th next week. We are going to do a little bit of a celebration, kind of just like we've done for the INO. We'll have a banner, and we have some refreshments and stuff that we're doing there in conjunction with the business community there. I know they're doing some stuff as well. I think they want to do a ribbon cutting is one of the things I've heard, but we want to make that in Joe's honor, we're going to make that the Joe Solito opening day ceremony.
Excellent.
The board goals and action items, we've already touched on that one. The preliminary draft of the operating schedule is, of course, a big deal. I'm going to come back to that.
Yep.
The update on the licensing of the freight vessel out of for New Bedford with Robert B. Hour. Their boat did pass the Coast Guard dry dock inspection. As I checked this morning, it's still down in Norfolk at this point. So, we can't really do too much on that. We can talk about what next steps are, but until she's back here and fully approved by the Coast Guard here, we're limited on what we can do there. And then the freight vessel conversion project review, that's going to be the first task for the capital planning committee. I threw in there a bunch of spreadsheets that show about since I started, all the financials. And the reason I did that is because there's been some math errors in a few of those. The current one is the right thing. The challenge there is that there are hidden rows in there, and the addition on some of those rows wasn't properly done and didn't come through to the end. But the last slide on that one that has the current numbers is actually fully accurate. We vetted that, and that's an example of what we're going to be going through. We're going to go back through all the finances and look month over month how things have changed, where the decisions were made. And that's going to be the first big task of the capital planning committee. So. Which ones you want to go back to, but we're happy to go back.
That information is really helpful as a sort of stage setter when we get to that. But let's go back. So fleet disposition, we have kicked around the governor a bit here as a port council. The board has done so similarly. They may act whether we do or not on this ultimately. So we can. I know that there are, I'll say, uncertainties on members of the port council about whether to do this and when. So we can provide some guidance to the board to do so, not before the end of this season, and all of that, if that would be helpful, if not sufficient, to weigh in, or we can take no action again and let the council know, let the board know that too. Joe?
Yeah, I would suggest that I think Greg brought it up. Were we using the governor to the best use that it can be? And just quickly, I don't want to be monopolizing this. Secondly, with the Barnstable being out of service this summer, being dry docked, I would think that if we have to send the other boat down for Nantucket, we could be using the governor more for Vineyard routes. That's all. Thank you.
Yep. John?
I don't mean to put you on the spot, Alex, but I'd like to just hear, what would your preference be? I know you're new, but from what you could see the first 100 days.
Well, I think going forward to the next year's schedule, particularly, we won't need the governor at all. We're going to have a backup boat at all times, so that she would just be a secondary backup boat. My thought would be start preparing her for sale and in the fall, but not take any action until after Labor Day. Just kind of do the preparation, start finding out a good broker, finding out what the market is, where we stand on that, making sure we have all the pictures and everything we need, but kind of keep her in our back pocket through the summer, and then put her on out for bid come the fall.
Can I say so moved, Mr. Chair?
You may. We will make that recommendation to the board as described by the general manager, moved by John Cahill.
I need a second, and we need to vote.
Second.
Yep. Second. Thank you, Rob. All in favor, John?
Cahill, aye.
Greg?
It's not clear to me what the motion actually is. I'm
The
sorry.
motion is to recommend to the board that after Labor Day, that staff can begin to lay the groundwork for a disposition for the governor sometime after this season, and to begin that process in earnest after Labor Day.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Aye.
Okay. Nat?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Joe?
Reluctantly, aye.
I know. Noted. I'll note that too, and I'm an aye also. Let's go to the operating schedule, Alex, just so that we can spend some time on that. There may, in fact, be public comment on that as well.
Yeah, I definitely expect there to be public comment, and it's very similar to this year's schedule. And one thing I will say is that I do have in there the 5:30 off of Martha's Vineyard to Woods Hole. That is in there. It is a tentative one, depending on the next phase of construction that has to go on in Vineyard Haven. One thing I've been talking to Allison with about, and we have the 5:30 a.m. coming out of Woods Hole during the summertime, which is important. And one of the things we did track last year. We tracked all the trucks that came in early, and we notified people when they came in early that they're not allowed to come in early because, as you might know, a truck is allowed to arrive at 5:10 for a 5:30 departure or at 5:30 for the 6 o'clock departure. So we do track those and we notify all those shippers. It was about, I think it's, I did the math on it yesterday, and it was about 60 trucking companies had trucks come in early over that time. It was actually something around close to a couple thousand actually arrived early, but on average, they arrive about 8 or 9 minutes early. Of that 60 trucking companies, 15 of them had more than 5 early arrivals from June through October. And we sent out notices to all those trucking companies yesterday, letting them know that, yeah, we're aware that you guys came in early on multiple occasions last year. If you do that again this year, we do reserve the right to pull future reservations as a consequence of violating that policy. So we will be tracking those guys again this year. I did reach out. I asked staff to check with truckers as to why we needed that 5:30 off the Vineyard. And that was a question I posed to them last week. And I got a lot of information back as to why they felt it was important to them. One of the things we wanted to get was more hard data on it as to what the impact will be. And the challenge we have this year is like it hasn't been an issue so far this year. And part of that is because of all the storms that we've had and the light loads that we've had as a result of the storms. We're going to start looking at that more seriously with the kind of April and May data to see how it affects rolling trucks, the 6 or 7 trucks off the 5:30 into the 6 o'clock, the 7 o'clock, the 7:40 a.m. trips, and how that impacts, because those trips also are when a lot of islanders want to get off the island so they can go to their doctor's appointments. We got a lot of medical appointments on those ones, so putting more trucks on that limits that. The truckers also came back to me and said a lot of them want to be able to do 2 trips in a day, and getting on that 5:30 gets them ahead of traffic, gets them out of Woods Hole before the buses, school buses are out there. It gets them out on the road, and a lot of stuff that, again, it's anecdotal. We're trying to get more hard data on it, but that's kind of the reason why at this point I've left the 5:30 in there. But other than that, the schedules are pretty similar to what we've had in the past.
That's a really helpful explanation. Thank you for walking through that.
And I'll add one more thing to it, if I can. So last night I met with the city council, the select board of Falmouth, and they asked to confirm that one of the things we've talked about with Peter is to have a community meeting with our community stakeholders who are obviously vitally important to us, to stay in partnership and collaboration with them. So I did commit to doing that. So I do intend to have a community meeting with the people here in Woods Hole, and then probably one, I'm not sure if it'll be preseason or postseason, but with the Vineyard people as well. So we're gonna have at least 2, and I'll try to have one out in Nantucket as well. And we'll try to get more than 5 people that time.
Good enough. All right. So we do not need to take action on the operating schedule for 2027 at this point. This is just to get us up to speed. But are there questions or thoughts based on information? Rob?
Yeah, thanks. Alex, it sounds like you're doing what I would normally be asking at this point, which is to provide a very strong and convincing argument for the 5:30 vote from Woods Hole. And I guess I don't know exactly how this is going to play out over the next few months in terms of decision making. But I would, I guess, request that we get that. You just sort of summarized it in a very high level way, but as detailed as possible. And I think, just to point out, in the last few years, I haven't felt that the argument was that strong, and I've voted against it.
Right.
But I do want to just, request that we get as deep a dive as possible into justifying the vote so that we can really make a good decision.
Yeah. Yeah. My question was on the 531 was like, we're getting away with it right now. Why do we need to keep it? So that's what I'm trying to verify and understand how important that is. And, do we actually really need to have it?
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Rob. Nat, you seem poised.
I don't like meddling over there, but this topic is an important discussion for the institutional knowledge people as well as the new. We used to have 5 boats running over there in the summer, and how that all got changed over the last 3 or 4 years, and the turning the trucks around so they don't have to back up early. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to this. But the one thing that I learned about the Vineyard route a couple of years ago was the fact that when a boat gets behind schedule, like by 5 minutes, it can cause a major problem, which I never knew how that all works. Everything has to work timing wise because the boats are close to each other because the distance is so much shorter. We don't have those problems over here. So I think, I don't think anyone's trying to make noise, half an hour earlier or whatever. I think this is more of a keeping everything separated correctly throughout the day and having the right amount of service all at the same time. So I think that the recommendation is correct.
Okay.
One more thing.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize the traffic problem we have over here. By 7 o'clock in the morning, it's tough to find a parking space in Oak Bluffs, Vineyard Haven, or Regatown, and I can vouch for that from my many years of working at the courthouse and doing parking ticket hearings, especially with a lot of the commercial vehicles. There's just no place to unload except the main streets. There's only 3 or 4 places like Kronig's or the Reliable Market where you can pull off the street and actually unload vehicles. Everything else is done right from the street. And it does cause a problem for the police departments. I know that.
Indeed. Rob, are you still raised or raised again? I just want to make sure that I'm not cutting you off. Okay.
That was an old hand.
Okay, an old hand.
Literally
You are
figuratively.
You are an old hand. All right. With the dwindling time remaining, Alex, anything else on old or new business that we need to cover before we get to some public comment?
We need to go to the Nantucket schedule. We haven't done that. We haven't looked at that yet.
Oh, right.
I just want to clarify what we're doing here, and I'm very excited about it. But I did find one thing, Allison, that may be a type. I don't know if it's a typo or something.
Yeah.
Everything we've discussed is in here.
Yes.
And it's perfect. The little piece with the Sanctity thing, the 18th to the 16th, is an unfortunate circumstance that's uncontrollable, I'm assuming, with that, why we had to move the Woods Hole to run in the freight boat schedule because of dry docking, and I'm assuming there's something else has caused that to happen, right? That's not changed.
The Woods Hole gets onto your run in May, and then it stays right through.
No, but I'm talking about for that 1 month.
Yeah, for that 1 month, the Aquinnah is going to be out on dry dock.
Yeah.
So we were actually able to move the dry dock ahead a little bit, so she will be back by the time that schedule opens. So it's only for that window.
That little window. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, the issue, okay. We used to do this kooky thing, Alex, that, you'll have to ask the other folks that you're working with about. We used to run the Nantucket over here for 4 days and have this big, huge, crazy scheduling, all for this like pre-fast ferry passenger rush that never happened. And we finally have gotten rid of that. Thank God. Like that is like, I could never understand why we were doing that so long. But during this slot here, Allison, we got to make sure that we have the Woods Hole ready for the food counter passenger stuff when it's running on that. I'm a little nervous about that, but we'll see how that works. Because you know what I mean? Like on that Memorial Day, that boat is going to be technically probably unstaffed for the food counter and running as a regular boat when it's not a hazardous. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just throwing that at you.
So we can do that.
Now the typo thing that I found, and I just want to make sure that I'm not, well, maybe I'm not, maybe it's not a typo. So the schedule from 9/9 to the 20th of October. Okay, this is a big change too. And I think that we need to get through this 2027 plan and see how this flushes out on the weekends. I think we're going to be okay. I think that if something goes wrong, I think that our crews will come in and work on Saturday with a hazardous or whatever trip we need to run. But the only thing is we don't have the 5:30 boat as the 7-day-a-week boat. I think we need to flip that.
Do you want to flip the Sankaty and Woods Hole?
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I see why you're doing that.
Yeah.
The Woods Hole is see, the problem with this, Saturday morning.
Audible sigh.
Yeah, just a little bit of an audible sigh.
Rob, thank you very much. We'll be in touch.
Is the food trucks are not going to be getting over on Saturday during that time slot on the 5:30 on Saturdays.
They'll be getting over on the 6:30.
Oh, okay. I see why we need to do it because we have the wrong mix. It's not the wrong mix. You can't have the Woods Hole sitting in Hyannis for the weekend. That's
it doesn't look good. And
we won't survive. We'll be all like strung up at that point. But I wasn't
7 days a week.
I just wasn't thinking about that piece of it when we talked about this the other day. Okay. Well, I guess as long as all the food trucks get on the 6:30, I guess that's all we can ask for. So thank you for that. I think this is a good reset year idea. We did this 15, 20 years ago when we widened and lengthened the freight boats. And we haven't done this in a while, and we need to, because right now we have too much service on the weekends. And it's kind of embarrassing. But I think we need to try this out, see how this works. The midday hazmat Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is another new thing that is going to help us with booking and just overall efficiency of the reservations. And I just think that whether or not this works exactly as planned is not the issue. The issue is we have to start somewhere. Right. The double crew idea, Allison, can't work. I'm sorry that we had that confusion. That it can't. It has to 5 days a week. I talked to all the agents. 5 days a week. We need that triple. We do.
Yes.
And it cleans things up Fridays when you have that triple running, and it gets things prepared for Saturday to have 6 trips a day. So, thank you, and I'm going to support this, and I think that staff's done a good job at working together to figure this out. Alex, you're in the caboose here a little bit, This is really important we're doing this. Fuel savings and having the ability to call in a single crew to work on a Saturday if something goes wrong, whether there's a breakdown, whether there's weather.
Right.
Normally don't get weather cancellations in this schedule. So
You know, you just jinxed yourself.
I know I shouldn't have said that, but you know what I mean. Anyway, okay. Sorry, Mr. Thank you. This is important. This is a big change on our route here. So, you know.
We're with you now.
Okay.
Solidarity.
My phone, hopefully my phone doesn't start ringing about this, but I think I've talked to everyone as best I can. I think we've got a good agreement with this. And again, Mark A, when we talked about the tankers the other day, as long as they get the reservations they need during a week, and you know, Monday through Friday, everything will work. We calculated how many total a week. At this time, it doesn't add up to what can actually fit. So that's the other reason that this will work. They don't really start ramping up jet fuel until after the schedule is over. So, okay.
All right.
Thank you. Yep.
All right, good. Thank you, everyone. Good guidance for management. As this moves forward, there'll be more conversation, I'm sure, at the board meeting, hence. And to Rob's point, that the level of detail that Alex provided and the analysis on the Vineyard side will be helpful. We'll reiterate that in future meetings also, so it's clear for everyone. So with that, public comment, Alex, do you think we're okay to move on to that? Anything else you want to cover?
I don't know if you want to touch on the hour license.
Sure. Why don't you go ahead and, yeah, I don't think we can do much with it right now, but
yeah, the current status is they did pass the Coast Guard hull inspection, which is great. That's awesome that we heard that. And the boat's still down in Norfolk the last I checked, and hopefully it'll be back up here soon so they can get everything squared away up here. And you know, would like to get that project started and get something in hand. So I know they have to work with you a bit on your side as well as the New Bedford representative.
Yep. Yep. And then we can get sort of a clarity on the ops side on Nantucket and make sure that it functions the way the Steamship Authority needs it to function. Then we can go from there once it's up.
Okay.
All right. If there's nothing else from the council, Sean, why don't we see if there's anybody left standing?
Sure. Anyone with public comment can hit the raise your hand icon. And I'll go with Mary. I saw you pop your hand up first, so go ahead.
Thank you very much and appreciate the meeting. On the reservation system, to quote Nat Lowell, to not forget anything, I hope that this reservation system will also have the capacity to be able to stage the trucks, the freight better. Because as we've talked about, you know, trucks get there early. But beyond that, and Alex, as you recognize, we get back up in Woods Hole all the time, that we need to be able to use that reservation system to stage the trucks coming into Woods Hole so that they're not getting in there, whether it's a 1 o'clock boat or a 5 o'clock boat, that they're not sitting there waiting. You need to figure out and use that reservation system. I've made this point in the past. This is an opportunity to use it. And to the comment about parking in Vineyard Haven, you have my undying sympathy as a Woods Hole person about the problems with parking and traffic congestion. We live with this all the time with the freight boats coming and the trucks and the cars coming in on Woods Hole Road, clogging Luscombe Avenue, clogging Railroad Avenue, clogging Crane Street Bridge. And yet none of it really benefits Woods Hole because it's all moving on or off the island. And so we have traffic problems like you do in Vineyard Haven. We just don't happen to be getting the benefit from having all of this traffic. So I thank you very much. And I do hope the reservation system will help in staging. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy Cody.
Hi, thanks again for this meeting. A couple of things. First one's for Mark Rozum. There was one cancellation on March 21st, the 6 a.m. From Vineyard Haven to Woods Hole, the Martha's Vineyard, and the 7 o'clock from Woods Hole to Martha's Vineyard. It's a little thing, but we want transparency and we want the numbers to really reflect what the cancellations are for. And we're all very concerned about mechanical failures, as we know. So I think that that's a correction that needs to be made.
Thank you. I'll bring that up with my team and find out if that got misclassified or missed. My apologies. We'll verify.
Thanks. Number two, assigning a project manager to ongoing and forward-thinking future capital projects is important. According to Shapiro's report, the concept of having someone internally who already has a full-time job being assigned management of a project is only a cause for failure. So I really like the idea of thinking about an internal project manager person who's going to be doing that kind of thing, or an outside one for each project, who would be skilled at doing project management and not have to work too hard to get up to speed because they know how to do this job anyway. So that's something that I think is really important. Number three is, I think it's really great that Ted has been assigned to the Capital Projects Committee, because I think he has skill set that can help with that, including the postmortem and hot wash of the OSV spending and terminal building spending. The next thing was that there was no discussion about staging at Palmer for cars and also rideshare. So I just want to keep that on the minds of people as summer is approaching, with coming up with a viable plan for staging so that we don't have the traffic issues that we've had. I want to say one more thing about the 5:30 a.m. I think it's really essential that we get some more hard data. Again, I want to reiterate the 5:30 a.m. freight was begun as an experiment. In 2011, the Vineyard rep, Mark Hanover, said it would be discontinued if the early trucks disturbed Falmouth residents. And that statement is part of the official minutes of the board. And that has been broken over and over every single year since. And we can talk on the Vineyard about traffic issues, and we can talk on the Vineyard about truckers wanting to squeeze in 2 trips per day as much as we want to. But we can't ignore the needs and the desires of our sister port residents, who, like Mary just said, get no benefit from more trucks rumbling through their streets and idling on the side of the road starting at 4:30 in the morning because they can't come down to the ferry building. So I want it to be a more comprehensive approach to thinking about all the people who are involved, rather than just truckers' preference and worrying about a little bit of traffic buildup on the Vineyard, and therefore we can just squeeze in the 5:30. I just don't want to ever ignore that, because the people who live there are essential to us as our sister port people. Thanks.
Thank you. And Steve Bernier.
Oh, an old blast from the past.
Steve, go ahead. Okay, we can't hear you, Steve. You are unmuted. Okay, I will come back to him. We'll go to Beth.
I've got 20 questions, but I'm just going to ask one. I promise all of you guys. You all need to smile right now. Here's my one question. Joe, it's off of yours. The $10 thing, right? Did I hear you right that the only thing I need to do is pick up the phone and call somebody and I get my free change? Is that what we said? Because I'm going to tell you, if you start giving that to some people and not to others, you're going to have an uproar. I mean, frankly, I'd rather pay the $10 and everybody pays the $10, because what annoys me the most about operations is whoever has special phone numbers gets special treatment. Okay. And us people we have the numbers, but we're pretty ethical and we don't use them. Right. So if somebody can just make a call and waive the $10, that's going to hit the street and you guys are all going to be in an uproar. I'd rather everybody pay the lousy $10. And I agree it's going to be an uproar, but at least we're all treated fairly.
That was my intent. It was your first time. We were going to try to maintain it as it is currently.
Right.
But I certainly appreciate what you're saying, Beth. And if I had my druthers, it would just be, it's a $10 fee, period.
Yeah, I think that's a lot fairer, Alex. People aren't going to like it, but it's fair.
Good feedback.
Okay. And then Steve Bernier had his hand back up, so we'll try one more time.
I hope we're connected.
You are.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Super. My name is Steve Bernier. I've been here at Kronig's Market on the Vineyard for 40 plus years. I was listening carefully to Joe Solito's comments about the truckers in the 530 boat, and he's right on. His boots are on the ground. He told the story right. Interestingly, though, Joe, look at reliable Stop and Shop Kronig's Market. I don't think any one of these three food purveyors have use of the 530 boat ever. It's the multiple stop guys that are on that 530 boat. So if you take your comment and look at the time window of 4, 5, 6 hours that they're doing their jobs, that first 30 minutes is only a little piece of that puzzle. And it doesn't solve the puzzle really. So because of the comments we're hearing from our neighbors across the pond, I think we should try thinking this way as a collective, all of us. For 2027, try doing the schedule without the 530 boat. Go for a year. In the second year, 2028, come back and we have to justify why that boat is important and play it from that side of the fence to honor what Amy Cody said. We said, Mark Hanover said, if there's a problem, neighbors will change, and we haven't. So I haven't used that even through COVID when we shut down the schools and we shut down the restaurants. All the food came through the food stores. We still didn't use the 530 boat. So I think there's enough data gathering we can do, but there's also some logical and sensible things we can do, is to back out that 530 boat next year, see what happens for that year. We're all given time to adjust. I think we can make it happen and take care of our neighbors. And I'd like that consideration to play more on the table. Thank you very much. And Alex, welcome to the team.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
Okay, and Margaret Hanneman has raised her hand. I'll bring her over.
I just have to jump in there, Steve, and say a big thank you to you. There are so many people who really care about the Falmouth folks. If any of us lived on that road and had these big trucks and millions of cars coming by, we wouldn't be happy. And we on the Vineyard are dependent on Falmouth. And Steve, I thank you for standing up and saying what you said. That's a great thing to help us go forward together. Thanks.
All right. Sean, anything
So I'll
else?
add one last thing. I just negotiated a lease for myself. So I am currently a Woods Hole resident and a Woods Hole Road resident. So I live right on that main thoroughfare. So I will be seeing it firsthand every day.
Standing agenda item. All right.
Sure.
With that, any other last minute items? I don't see anybody else in the waiting room. Anything else from the Port Council?
Yeah, just invite everybody over for the 14th of May for the
14th.
grand opening of the Oak Bluffs dock on the 930 boat coming in. It's like the old days. that when the Island Queen would come in and go out on their first and last trips, the fire trucks are all out blowing the sirens and waving to everybody coming and then waving to everybody going.
Drinks are on Joe.
What I heard.
At the 9:30 boat? Okay.
Yes.
Island time, I guess. Sounds great. Excellent. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the May 5th meeting of the Port Council.
So moved.
Thank you, Joe. Second. Thank you, Nat. All in favor, John?
Hey, hell, aye. Thank you. Good meeting.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody. Greg?
Aye, thank you.
Nat?
Aye, thank you.
Yep. Joe?
Hi, thank you. Very good meeting.
I'm an aye as well. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for sticking
Thank you
with us.
very
There was a lot to get through. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot,
Happy Cinco de
everyone.
Mayo.